In this video, I'm sharing the importance of having a self-care routine, how to create one, and why it matters more than ever in 2020. Hi everyone, I'm Kiran. Welcome to my channel where I talk about mindfulness, emotional resilience, and spirituality. So I'll start with a confession. I was one of those people who looked down upon self care, and I used to think that the only people who talk about self care or have a self care routine are self obsessed. But then 2020 happened, and for the first time in my life, I realized the importance of self care in ways that I'd never realized it before. And to be quite honest, I now have a newfound respect for it. Now, I have been very fortunate to have friends that are into self love, self improvement, and developing a high emotional intelligence. And I learned about this concept of self care from them. And the way I understand self care is that self care is knowing how to take care of yourself at a mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual level. Like one of my friends, she loves to get her nails done. And I would often ask her, like, why do you spend $40 on getting a manicure of all things? Like, if it were me, I would rather spend that kind of money on books. And she would always say, Kiran, it brings me so much joy to get my nails done. And I would look at it and be like, okay, whatever. At that time, I was so new to this world of self care that I never realized that self care is not about copying what other people are doing, because you really have to tune in and ask yourself what feels nurturing. But I was so naive, and I thought that maybe if I got manicure done, then it would also bring me a lot of joy and happiness, just like it did for my friend. And yet, no matter how many times I got a manicure, it brought me no joy. Every single time I walked out of the nail salon, I would think to myself, I can't imagine I spent this amount of money on manicure. And after a few failed attempts, it finally dawned on me that self-care is not about emulating other people, because what feels nurturing for one may not feel the same for another. So then the billion-dollar question is, how do you find what's nurturing for you? Well, it's a bit of a hidden trial method. Now, when I think about self-care, this is the image that stands out to me. Like literally, if your body were a car, what activities can you think of that would fill this tank? Maybe it's something you enjoyed when you were 5 or 15, and no matter whether you did this activity for 10 minutes or 10 seconds, it always brought a smile to your face. Can you think of any such activity? Most of us usually have at least one thing that we really enjoyed as a kid. And if nothing comes to your mind, consider making a list that seems interesting. Maybe it's walking the dog, or eating Thai food, or taking care of your indoor plants, or even watching funny videos. Nothing is off limits. So as an example, I have a few hobbies that I really enjoy. Like I love to write, I love to make pottery, I love to paint, dance, sing, research. I have a few interests. But out of all these activities, if I were to think of one thing that makes my heart sing, that always cheers me up, that brings a smile on my face, it has to be painting. Now, most recently, I was talking to one of my friends who lives in California, and she said, Kiran, I am starting to feel depressed over this continued COVID situation. Now, if you know my friend, she is a social butterfly. She loves to be around people. She's the life of the party. And so for her not to see her friends, I feel was finally starting to get to her. And I asked her, I said, what self-care activities are you doing every single day? And she thought for a moment and she said, actually none. And I was like, I'm not at all surprised. But I shared with her, I said, what emotionally fulfilled you earlier, which was hanging out with your friends, going and being out and about, those activities you are no longer doing. And when your emotional needs are not being met, it's easy to feel down. Now, if you have watched any of my previous videos, I often talk about working with the body at an energetic level. So, at an energetic level, our body is made up of 4 different layers: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Most of us are good at taking care of our physical body, as in we eat well, we make sure we get 8 hours of sleep, no questions there. Whether we like it or not, this is the minimum thing we need to do in order to take care of the body. Same goes for the mental body. One, we are bombarded with so much information these days, and second, we have to use our mental faculties for existing in our world. And so this body gets a regular exercise and a regular workout. Now, the emotional body, this is the one that we usually struggle with the most. And having a self-care routine can help replenish this body. In other words, think of your self-care activities filling up your emotional battery. And once you have identified your favorite self-care activity, then the next most important thing is to do it regularly. Like I was sharing earlier in the video that I really enjoy painting. So most recently, I've been nudging myself to paint every single day. Like I tell myself, it doesn't matter whether I show up for 1 minute or 2 minutes, what matters most is the attendance. Now you might be wondering, Kiran, what can you possibly create in 1 minute? And the point is that self-care is not about creation, it's more about showing up. Because every single time I pick up the brush, even if only for 1 minute or to make just one stroke, I get to tap into that part of myself where I know that all is more than well. And a lot of times, we often have this resistance towards doing anything related to self-care. So when you set the bar so low, it helps overcome that inner resistance. Like I walk away from my paintings knowing that, even due to this COVID situation, things may not look a certain way, and that's okay. Instead of getting me down, this simple 1 minute self-care activity keeps my mind uplifted. Now, when you are creating a self-care ritual, my best suggestion is find activities that are independent of people, places, things, times, and events, so that no matter where you are in the world, you can find comfort in your heart and you can connect in that part of yourself where all is more than well. Maybe it's a bubble bath, maybe it's reading a gossip magazine. There is no right or wrong way to create a self-care ritual. What matters most is that it works for you. Now, having a self-care routine won't make your problems disappear, but it will definitely ground you. It will give you that sense of inner peace and comfort, which a lot of us can use at this time. And now over to you. What activities are you going to try out in next few days and weeks as part of your self-care ritual? I am so looking forward to hearing from you in the comments below. I hope these suggestions were helpful. As always, please only take what resonates, discard the rest. Thank you so much for your time today. I will see you next Tuesday with a new video, and until then, have a beautiful rest of the week.